Hello everybody and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering arena video. Today we are looking at a very different type of deck again. We are looking at a Simic ramp deck called Biggest and Best. The reason it's biggest and best is because those are the creatures we are playing, the biggest and best ones. Biggest and best from Streets of New Capenna and otherwise. So the deck is basically around 4 ramp spells. So we've got 4 Neverwinter Dryads, which is a 1-drop. You can play 2, sacrifice it and search for a forest. So it's our 1-drop that has an option to pay later for more ramp. 3-drop ramp, Topiary Stomper, probably know what this does. It's a 4/4 with Vigilance that can attack or block once you've got 7 or more lands. Quandrix Cultivator feels like it's been around for ages now, but basically a 4-costing 3/4 that can search a forest or island. Same as Topiary Stomper, Neverwinter Dryad can only bring forests. 2 copies of the Celestus, which is a mana rock essentially, but can give us some card filtering later in the game as well. On top of these 14 ramp spells, we then have a bunch of things we're aiming to get to, which is 3 All-Seeing Arbiters, and this is a slightly less seen card. It's a 6-costing 5/4 flyer. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, draw 2 cards and discard a card. Whenever you discard a card, target creature an opponent controls gets -X/-0 until your next turn. So not just the turn of, if it happens in our turn, it's until the start of our next turn, so all through their turn as well. Where X is the number of mana values among cards in your graveyard. So typically, if you're jamming this on turn 4 or 5, it's only going to be at -1 probably, or -2, because you're not going to have loads of cards in the graveyard. We've got a bit of synergy with Neverwinter Dryad sacrificing itself to put a 1-costing thing in our graveyard. But in general, we're not going to have tons of things in the graveyard. Later on, this -X can go all the way up to -9, as we have 9 different, or actually -10. We have 10 different mana values available to us in this deck. So that's one of our sort of ramp targets. It's not been played loads, but I'm finding it incredibly effective, especially against sort of aggro-y or mid-range decks. If you can get this down for turn 4, 5, 6, it basically shuts them down, which we'll hopefully see in some gameplay today. Other ramp targets, Titan of Industry, needs no introduction. 7-costing, 7/7 Reach Trample that can do a bunch of things. We're also running 1 copy of Bookworm, which is an 8-costing worm. It's a 7/7 with Trample. When it enters the battlefield, gain 3 life and draw a card. Pay 3, put it from our graveyard into the library 3rd from top, so we can prevent it from being dormant in our graveyard. And then we're running 1 copy of the Trask, which is a 9-costing 10/10 dinosaur. It has haste and ward 10 as long as it's cast. Whenever it attacks, it fights target creature the defending player controls. Basically, if we put this down, we're pretty much going to win, unless they've got an absolute ton of weenies that we can't get through. The reason that we've got this kind of spectrum of things we're aiming for is that we're also running Vivian on the Hunt. Just a one of, although tempted to add 1 more. Vivian on the Hunt has the +2 of you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, search your library for a creature card mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. In other words, we can sort of get something that's worth 1 more than the previous things. If we sacrifice an Arbiter, we can pull out a Titan, sacrifice a Titan, pull out a Bookworm, etc. +1 is mill 5, and any number of creature cards mill this way into your hand. We're running a lot of creatures. We've got 24 in this deck, so over a third of the deck is creatures. So if we're milling 5, we're going to hit on average 2 or so. And then -1, create a Rhino token. It's basically a fallback for the card if none of the others are looking good. We are running 1 5-costing creature, which is the Workshop Warchief. The Workshop Warchief is basically there because it's got a good enter the battlefield ability of gain 3 life, which can be helpful against the sort of aggro-y decks, and also it's got a dies trigger, which is nice with Vivian. So if we sacrifice it to get a 6-costing thing, i.e. our Arbiter, we still get something left behind as well. Running 1 Renan 7, 1 Tamio. I won't go through those, but basically they're 2 planeswalkers that if we ramp into on turn 4 or so, they're pretty game-changing for us. Those are our ramp spells. I'm then running an additional 5 lands on top of my normal 24, or the normal 24. So we're running 29 lands in total, 3 Jawari Disruptions and 2 Glasspool Mimics. So the reason for Jawari Disruption is it's a land and a spell. We need more lands in this deck, as it is a ramp deck. It's nice behind Neverwinter Dryad because they don't always see it coming. They think you're just holding open 2 for the Dryad to sacrifice it on turn 2, when actually you're holding potentially a counter spell. We've got another counter spell here, Decisive Denial, which counters only non-creatures, but it is still a counter. And then Decisive Denial also gives us a fight spell to use with our bigger creatures later on. Tempted to run more of these, but I can't really find the slots in the deck. Potentially remove some of the ramp, but 2 Glasspool Mimics. Again, it's a land and a creature. The nice thing about Glasspool Mimic is that it can copy either one of our creatures that's helping us ramp if we don't have enough ramp, or it can copy one of our creatures that's a payoff if we need more in-game payoff. So it kind of fits into our curve at all points, and it's a land. So I would say, if anything, we probably want more Glasspool Mimics in this deck. Could almost take out some of the Juaris and put in Glasspool Mimics. Not sure. There's going to be a balance somewhere between these two, how we're using our kind of spell lands. But I'm finding this to be a right overperformer in the deck because it fits in anywhere. So it's a really solid card. I'm running one of the Reality Chip. What this deck lacks is like lots of draw. The Arbiters are drawing us 2 and discarding 1, so they're card positive. But we don't have loads of like in-game draw. The Reality Chip is nice for that because early on it's just a good wall to put in the way of all these Boros and things decks. It's got 4 toughness. Later on, it basically can get us through our whole deck to the point where we can win. So it's a bit of a early game benefit, late game benefit card. Similar to the Decisive Denial with its 2 options, similar to the Glasspool Mimic. So that's the theme we're going for with our early cards. And then I've got 2 Fading Hopes basically to help us get to late game. This is particularly nice, or it's given us a chance against things like enchantment decks or aura decks, against Boros in certain cases. Being able to send something back to the hand if we've had a load of enchantments or counters put on it is basically what this is there to help us with. We don't have lots of removal being blue-green outside of Decisive Denial, so it's a little bit of extra removal for us. Obviously, a lot of our creatures have Enter the Battlefield abilities, like the Stomper, Cultivator, Titan, Arbiter, even the War Chief, so it can have utility being played on our own creatures as well, but it's mostly there as a staller. So that is the deck. We've got 29 lands, 24 creatures, and then a few spells. I will run into some games and see how we get on. Okay, here we go. Robots. I think for me it's tricky changing my mindset from like try and win as quickly as possible to choose the point which you go for the win. I think ramp decks are very much like slowly, okay, deploy everything, try and win. It's like, unusual. I'm amazed how many people are using their removal on Neverwinter Dryad. It feels like such a waste of time to me, but lots of people are doing it. Obviously, that isn't that helpful to play on its own. So this is a weird dragons deck, but is it like a reanimator or just red-white dragons? Well, red-white-green dragons? I'm not sure. What? It's like a Goldspan dragon deck, presumably. I'm confused. Put this in. So what do we got? 6 lands down. If we play this and this, puts us at 7 lands. So we can Titan next turn, and we'll copy it the turn after. Hopefully. Uh-oh. Okay. Voltage surge off the top, not too bad for us. Let's gain the life, I suppose. can't attack, sadly, but relatively difficult for him to remove that Titan. I'm guessing he has a way of, I should say they rather than he. Okay, just another one off the top. Probably a Tamiyo rather than a copy Titan. Or can do both, I suppose. That'll probably drive a concede.
Phyrexia is the multiverse of synthetic. You do not write this story.
Where this card, this Glass Ball Mimic, really is a game changer for this deck, because if you need ramp, you copy ramp. If you need Titan, you copy Titan. Oh, nice. I guess Angel Fire Ignition off this would be the one that would keep them alive. Although we'd still be able to tap the Velamachus down. That's fine, no trample. Bring that one back. Yeah. We can block with the shield counter. Then we just tap it down and win. So much for that deck. One where we've gone over the top nicely. Don't need Graveyard Hate because we can deal with the reanimating target for that particular case. Let's go again. Alright. Next game. It's a pretty nice hand. 2 halls is obviously not ideal, but not when we need to play a green first for Neverwinter, but at least we can sack this and be able to play the Stomper. Unless there's something very important to Juari. Don't think we'll be Juariing anything this turn. I think we'll be blocking and getting the land. We need the second green for these. Okay, Naya humans. Ugh. It's on the cusp, isn't it? But not quite. I think we'd still rather have the land. So that puts us on 5. If we play this as a land and play this, we're on 7. And then our Stompers are both online, which is difficult for a weenie deck. Although obviously this can play Halana and Alina and Sigarda and make the creatures big, so not out of the woods, but 5 lands against 2 presently. Angel, okay, so that is just, they've got the Sigarda coming. Interesting to see what they take here. The Stomper would be the right choice, I would say, but they might take the Arbiter. It's also quite worrying. The Denial is obviously a fight spell for us, which is also something they don't want us to have. It's tough. The thing we'd like to fight the most is the Angel, and we've not got anything with more than 4 toughness, so it's just a trade-off spell, which makes it less good. I would say that is probably the worst thing to take for them. And now we've got the Stompers online. 4/4 Vigilance for 3 is not bad when they're actually, when you get them online early enough, they're very nice. So that freezes up the Thalia and Hope for Initiate, even if they've got the Angel. Which if they had, they would have played before the Spellbinder, I think. Okay, Arbiter time. Interesting that it tapped all my green for that. Gotta keep swinging with these. We don't care if they trade, to be honest. It's gonna be a good trade. Yeah, good trade. Yeah, GG. We just got over the top of them too quickly for them to do anything. And that is kind of, yeah, hopefully what we can repeat. Okay, 2 for 0 so far. Let's keep it going against Ribbo. I don't have a second nice land, but we're on the play and we've got a Dryad, so worst case is we sack it turn 3. And it is going to be worst case. Considering how many lands we're running, it is unusual to miss land drops. Yep, we've managed it. We've still got 27 lands left in the deck, and we've got 2 of them there. Jesus, where the fuck are all my lands? It's not a great start. This is where we can get challenged if we don't actually hit our lands. Because then obviously we're not ramping any faster than the opponent. I got the same number of lands that they got. Yeah, well, have a look at all those glorious cards I can't play. I would throw away the cultivator if it was my choice. Try and keep me behind. I mean, it depends if they think they're late game or not, but the Tameo is useless because I can't really tap down the Trespasser. Yeah, good choice. We could tap down the Bankbuster, but the Trespasser's doing just as good a work. Luckily managed to hit a land. So, do we War Chief? Or do we Ren and 7? Probably Ren. Because then the threat of being able to plus Ren and hit our land drop is enough to make it harsh for them. Although they can deal with Ren quite easily now. But, you know, it 2 for 1, so... Oh, did it? No, 1 for 1. Then he got Path of Peril. Okay. It's looking like we might just about be able to turn this, but it's going to be tight. Obviously the land draw off Bankbuster's not great. But a little bit of life back and a good blocker. Opponent's not going to want to trade either of their creatures for a War Chief, I don't think. We just need to get ourselves a land somehow. It's a close one, but I think we do the War Chief just because they can't kill the token that comes in this turn. So it should still prevent an attack, or if we kill off the Bankbuster, I'm happy with that too. Deny a couple of draws. And luckily I got that land. I can get the Titan in. I think I'll probably just do these two, although the life would be helpful. In theory they can have Vanishing Burst for Titan, which is why it could be better than Shield counter, but so far they've been showing quite destroy-like spells. Not that that means a lot. There are only 17 cards in and still 6 of them in hand. I want to make it tricky for them to remove this Titan, if nothing else. Still my foot. Okay. Interesting. That is a nice draw. It's good. Yeah. Okay, that's the Titan gone. We might still get him for 8. And we've got another one. I think I won't bother with the shield counter this time. It was probably a bad choice first time round.
Get for hurting my people.
Oh really? Gonna block? A chump with a trespasser. The only reason I can think you would do that is if there's a board wipe coming. Guess it could be a meat hook. It's probably a meat hook. So what I will do is do gain life and shield counter. Because they've got just enough land to do a 4 toughness meat hook here. So we'll make them either do that or remove the Titan. Okay. Obviously running farewell as well. I mean, this is a nice place to be in with this now, though.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
Could have powered up Hall for a 2-turn clock, but don't think it's particularly worth it this turn. Give them something to deal with. Okay, they have dealt with that pretty efficiently. Pretty good at emptying my graveyard, it's fair to say.
We must protect the people.
Orzhov controls scaling very well against us. I'll play this first. Might as well get some more of these lands out of our deck. How many we got out now? Only 9. Just so much removal in these Orzhov decks, isn't there? And it's good removal too.
Strike fast and strike hard.
Interesting. I think we want to hold on to this until we draw a bigger creature. Can I do this and power up the Hall? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not quite. A 1 off. Just playing the Stomper doesn't gain us much momentum at all, does it? Might be better off powering at the Hall and swinging at the Emperor. Try and reduce our opponent's board a little bit. Okay, I'll kill off that 5/5. That's a good trade. Can't really deal with it otherwise, so that's the last card of a Bankbuster, thankfully. Yeah, look, the opponent's got through 1 more card than we have even, and half of ours are lands, or so that is a bonus. At least we can attack now. How are we still drawing the lands though? Probably kill the hive, I think. So how many? We've only gone through 2 titans. Oops. And yeah. So what big creatures have we got left? We've got 1 titan. We've got 1 Tarask. And 1 Rhino 7, which is basically a creature, and 2 all-seeing arbiters. So we've not got tons to draw. I have got 1 reality chip left to draw as well, but no creature to put it on at the moment. Not looking good, is it, this one? I think decks that are stacked full of exile do well against Titan, because the shield counters are worthless. That isn't that helpful. I just don't know how we're still drawing loads of land. And kill off the hive. I wouldn't tap it for a black, I would power up the Bank Buster with it. No, that's a good game. Just flooded out at the end there, but that is a risk when you're playing, I guess, 29 lands, but never mind. We'll try again. Thinking back on it, I think the thing that we could have done better last game was at the start, because we got behind on the mana, right? So maybe keeping that hand was a bad idea. I think it only had, was it 2 lands maybe? So probably not keeping 2 lands is the way to go. Don't know, it's a tricky one. I'm not completely skilled at playing this type of deck, so we don't have a blue source yet, which is slightly concerning, but can't actually fetch them off of the Dryad. I think we'll play this out because we will need the blue source for the other cards. Oh, no black. So, yeah. Alright, now we're rolling a little bit. Probably play Tamio here. Ultimately the Shakedown Heavy is the only thing that they've got that's a threat.
The future is written in gold and steel. Such an imperfect flow.
Okay, now they've actually assigned a bit more. What's the deal with?
Violence is necessary.
Metal is stronger than flesh.
So keep this tap down,
You do not write
and then we can always
the story.
fight the flyer. We'll counter that instead. Got all the lands in the world now, just need to find something to do with them. it's not something to do with them.
Bow before Phyrexia.
15 cards, and 10 of them are lands. I mean, obviously we've pulled a lot of those out. Well, not a lot, 2, 3, but still. Can we please draw non-land now? We've got a 68% chance to draw non-land. Problem is, the bigger board that we let them put down, the further behind we get, basically, because we don't have anything that can deal with like all this at once. Whereas I would assume they're running Blood on the Snow, given all the snow-covered swamps. This Tamiyo seems to be keeping them entertained at the moment. Discard 2 cards. Interesting choice. Wow. It's definitely very real. Getting out of land. Can kill off Sorin. Try and deny their card advantage a little. Obviously Tamiyo is going to go down, but unfortunately I am flooding to high heaven, so there's not a lot I can do about it. Even an Arbiter would change this massively. Draw 2 when it comes in. Yeah, we'll just take it.
You only think you've changed the ending.
I mean, we'd quite like to draw our 1 copy of the Tarask. That would be nice. Although I'm sure there'd be some removal for it. I guess we'll have to use this, but I guess we'll keep the Hall on defense as well. Well, we can block one of the heavies relatively profitably now. Okay. Maybe we need more payoffs in this deck, I don't know. Maybe I'm not running enough. At least they're going to struggle to attack with more than the vampire now. Got a few turns to find our solution. That's quite a nice one.
The will of the woods is made manifest.
Obviously we'll trade our Stomper for the heavy if they want to. Or 2 Ghasts even, I suppose, but I guess the meat hook is going to start hurting. I assume they're just -1/-1 on the Stomper. So managing to chew through some of their defences. Ooh, treasures. Saving up for a massive meat hook maybe. This has got to be big meat hook. But I mean I have to block anyway, so Even if it is, we'll be blocking. Good. No lands out of that. That's wonderful.
Rich soil grows.
We'll blitz this. To just save 1 damage off the War Chief. Okay, Vivian's nice. Although our 1/5 costing creature is out of the deck. No, I can't use it anyway. It wouldn't have been that much use to us other than spitting out 4/4s. At least I can start attacking with my 11/11 now, give them something they have to block every turn. So I can create another one off Ren and 7. They are slowly being bled down by me at Massacre, but they're losing health slowly as well. I have no interest in just milling away all my stuff. I mean, we've got enough lands, so we don't need Ren and 7 around. Obviously, they've got, what, 12? Now they've got 13, so they can actually meet Hook for 11 now. If that, I mean, I assume that's the last card in their hand, given how they've been playing. There we go. That's going to gain them a bunch of life, but I think a neutral board state is kind of... Oh, we've actually, yeah, obviously managed to pull a land with the Dryad. Didn't even see that myself, to be honest. That's a good game. Alright, funny end to that game. Interesting that we did manage to just about get there, but yeah, good game. Okay, next game. Yeah, it's a nice hand. We've got a 3rd land if we need it in the form of the Mimic, but we've also got the Dryad and the blue source, so I think we're okay. Against random. So Rakdos so far. Jund it is. Okay, Tainted Adversary. It's a strong card. Always liked it. The decayed zombies seem a little not useful in general to me, but obviously I could have countered that rigging, but I think it's better off to block and sack the Dryad. I mean, this is where they'll have a Shakedown Heavy in hand as well, but so if I stomp her, I can play the Dryad, but I can't sack it. If I do this, I can play the Dryad. Can't keep it. Can't do anything and keep Denial open. So I think we'll just play this. Pull a blue land and not play this. Oh, yeah. We need the blue, so Valky. Okay. Lots of choices. Stomper, Stomper. I mean, Mimic is pointless to him, but yeah, take one of those. It's a good play. Good shot. Thing is, hopefully we'll draw a Titan to kill off the rigging at some point before they manage to trigger it. Would be ideal. Probably going to attack. Yeah, just take that. So I could play this as a land, right? Yeah. Which would put me on 7 and enable my Stomper, but it's not enabled this turn anyway. And this could be helpful to have in hand, so it could be better to hold this open. I think we'll do that. That way we can counter something or fight Valky if they try and turn it into a Stomper themselves or whatever. We got options. Okay, we'll have to fight the heavy if they try and put their counter on that, because we can't have them triggering rigging. We'll put this cultivator, pull a green and put this stomper, and then hopefully we're all land pulled out. Starting to think we might need one more payoff compared to ramp card. We do a lot of ramping in some of these games, and then we're not quite getting the payoffs. Just gotta hope they haven't got another heavy or similar, because if they manage to play a Tybalt, oh my, they must have top decked this, otherwise they would have played at the turn they played this. Or a Titan, we're in trouble. Okay, they only had a heavy under there anyway, that's not the end of the world. It's not great, but not the end of the world. Can't find anything to do myself though. Just 3,000 lands. How many have we got? 10? Gonna be 11 soon. And yet, it's all we can draw. I mean, I've got good blocks against the heavies, which is nice. And Valky can't do anything, even if he turns it into a Stomper, they're miles off 7 lands. Yeah, that's okay. We might have to block the adversary finally though. In fact, we can block the adversary with the Neverwinter, so let's block like this. These both have 8, so we're only killing one of each of these. Obviously there could be combat tricks or whatever, but that's okay. Pull out our remaining forest. At least we can't draw it. Okay, it's all the basics out of our deck. And both heavies down. Come on. That's nice. Can plus it. We haven't had our war chief yet, have we? No. Give us a bit of life back. Turn one of these cultivators into something helpful. Should I attack first?
This will be over quick. Well, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Nice to gain a bit of life. Unfortunately, the rigging could put one more counter on their 5 toughness adversary, make it 6, and make it a bad block again, but never mind. At least we'll get a creature out the back of our war chief. Although ideally we'd keep it alive and pull an arbiter out, wouldn't we? I'll just chump like this maybe. I don't want to let Vivian get too low in case there's any kind of shocky type spell in their hand. Because if we can... Oh, we've got an Arbiter anyway, so we can put the Arbiter and then turn that into a Titan. That's better. Chuck that. Since we can get this one with Death Touch down to 0, we'll do that. What we do is then plus... Hello? There we go. Sack that, pull this out. We definitely want this one. Do we want the 5 life, or do we want a Rhino, or do we want a shield? Don't want a Rhino, because we're going to have another creature anyway. Maybe we do want one. Let's just get more blockers, and we'll kill the chariot. The rigging's not doing loads to them now. And then we'll try and force a concede by putting a Ren and 7 in as well. Look at all these massive creatures. Please concede. We won't attack with the War Chief. Better off holding it, sacking it to Vivian, putting out another Arbiter. There's a lot of Death Touch going on here, but Arbiters can deal with Death Touch pretty well. Obviously it's still possible to lose this, but the consistency that Vivian gives is nice. Interesting. Another Ren and 7, okay. Let's see what lands we've got. We've got one, which is a Hall, although one Titan in the bin, which is not great. So, what I'll do is sack this War Chief. Pull out an Arbiter that can give -8 power to something. I might also throw the land, keep a Joari, you never know. -9 now. Because there's the Tarrasque in here. Yeah. So many different mana values. And I think we can probably start attacking a little bit. Probably like this. The 4/4 is an easy block for them. The 12/12 we block by a Death Toucher, but we've got to get through them at some point. Okay. Still got a Stomper to get back from under that Valkyrie as well. Poor boy being held hostage by this this god. Okay, they like growth. It's to be one big gap. So I don't really have the desire to plus Vivian anymore, so we might just start minusing, or we could plus 1, but I'd be a little bit careful with the self-mill going on here. That's a nice draw. So I think I'll minus this, create a 4/4. Come on. Well, minus this, create a tree folk.
But we're
And I think I'll copy the Arbiter. And then we can get both Death Touch creatures not to have Death Touch. We'll chuck a land. We can even shrink the giant cat down when we attack. So I'll attack with everything. And we finally made them concede. Okay, it was a little bit dicey when they triggered their fight rigging, but thankfully they only hit another heavy and we managed to then grind it out, but it was close. Fun game. Alright, let's see if we can stress me out anymore with more of this nonsense. It's not as stressful as the Magecraft deck, I have to say. This is obviously not a keep. We've got our 2 copies of Friend 7. That is much better. I'll put the Titan away. That is the green red, okay. So probably Jund. You don't see a hell of a lot of Gruul around these days. Attack. I mean, they could have a 3-drop with haste, but got him for 1 this way. Very important 1. Okay, just Gruul so far. Let's search up our land. Unfortunately, I don't have a block for the goblin, but we will do next turn. I mean, I could actually glass pool in another Stomper and get them both to 7. Almost better than playing the Ren. Not sure. Okay, Naya. Don't see loads of that unless it's cheap stuff, so it'd be interesting to see what this is. Scowls, is it runes? Oh yeah, it's like enchantments. Just yeah, didn't have any early creatures, but so do we glass pool or do we Ren? I think we Ren. I do think there's an interesting Stomper into a Shire deck somewhere. If you Stomper turn 3 and then put a land and a Shire next turn, you'll have 7 lands down. So you'll have a 4/4 Vigilance that can attack and a bigger Shire. Yeah, there's probably something there. Like a land 4-lead deck. Potentially with rigging and Kraken. Don't know. I'll have a play about building something around that when I get bored of this one. But at the moment I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's just fun playing big stuff. Just big big things to beat them down. Should have thought about this a little bit more, seeing that I knew they had a circle. But never mind. I don't think they give them a free kill on that Ren. I mean, what we really need against this deck is a Titan, which we can now play if we draw one, so sadly not. But the Celestus is nice for filtering our stuff out. In fact, we'll filter instead of get another Stomper. And a 4/4 would be helpful here, but it's not gonna win us the game. So filtering out the lands might win us the game. So denial could be helpful for killing off this Kiki Jiki. Could be too late though. I'm a little bit worried by this board presence. Yeah, having the scouts down before the Runeforge champion is very dangerous for us. If they've got the thing that makes enchantments cheaper, I mean, we could be dead anyway because they can copy the champion and get more runes even if they run out. I think this might be a concede, even this turn. Going to be chumping with our Stomper. Yeah, GG. Let's trample on all their creatures. Couldn't quite get under the runes. I mean, runes is always going to be a tough matchup unless we get a Titan down like turn 5-6 and kill off an important enchantment. Obviously I made a bit of a misplay putting the Wren down, but I don't think it would have made that much difference. They would have just taken one of the Stompers and we'd be in the same place. So yeah, that's a hard matchup. Right, next game. I actually made a card swap in the deck, which was one can't remember what, for one Bookworm. What did I take out the deck for it? It was one Wren and 7. Took out one Wren and 7 and added one Bookworm. The reason being, I actually think Wren and 7 is a slight nombo in the deck, in that we rip all of our lands out the deck and we then use the plus ability and put all of our creatures that we want to search up with Nissa into the graveyard. So I've gone down to one copy, and also, you know, it's legendary, so one copy is the optimum number if you don't need lots, and we're not basing our strategy around it. So and the Bookworm gives us that nice 6, 7, 8, 9 sacrifice path all the way up with Nissa if it's called for. Just like that, I think, and then we'll hold open Juaris. Can't do much about that. We'll be able to soon. Just like to get an untapped land. Fable's fine. Fading the token, which gives us a better chance of drawing the untapped land we want. Although they are holding open 2, which is slightly worrying. That they can counter. Yeah, I don't think I want to be Juari'd. What I will do is play one of ours in to enable the Stomper. It's a lot better doing 4 damage a turn than not, and we probably don't need both of them. Yeah, they've got all the cards in the world, which is slightly worrying against this Temia deck. If they never miss land drops, then we're in trouble. They chucked a Juari, okay. They did have one. I don't think they've got any 6 drops that they're going to be playing, no. More Fable. Okay, we're not prone to Juari anymore for our Titan. Guess we'll have one open. Obviously they could trade this Stomper for the bank. No, they can't. That's crew 3. I think I'll try and jam this Obviously they can have a hard counter. They've got 2 blue and 1, but yeah, okay. Well, they have been holding open mana, so I don't know whether this is still useful as this Rory. Probably. We'll hold it. I mean, we'll stop them drawing with Bankbuster, but obviously countering Titan is a big swing in this game. Throwing away lands. I mean, they've had so much draw and filter with this Bankbuster and Fable. Couldn't have really gone better for them. Okay, I reckon try paying this out. Should have played it maybe for the completed amount. Don't know. Can't stop that, sadly. Let's try and get this fight through. Don't know if it'll work. Searching for a counter. That's a good sign. Bookworm. Let's see if we can get this done for us. Yeah, that's not a great sign. Gonna have so much mana after that. Even cast a Titan if they've got one, which they probably do since they've gone through 22 cards. Probably running at least 3. Maybe not yet, but oh, if they can still play a land, then yeah, they've still got it. God, I hope this resolves. I think it could be a loss. This is basically our deck, but with Fable and Goldspan. And then things that they can use loads of mana for. Ramping with treasures rather than lands, but I'm bidding for a Titan, or whatever their end game is. It shouldn't take them too long to find one, I don't think, with all the spells they've got. I mean, it's up the 3rd iteration. It's only the 2nd. Okay. But they've deluged as well. And gone through basically a whole Bankbuster. In the essence of trying to speed up our life, I think we'll just concede this, shall we? GG. I still want to play to win. We need to win one. Alright, come on. Let's let's get a win in here. That is pretty grim. I mean, we've got a blue and a fading lobe. There's actually loads of lands in the sand, which doesn't look like it. Yeah. Only because I'm on the draw do I think about keeping this. I think we will. If we turn out to be against something incredibly aggressive, it could be a problem. Symbology. What is this little dweeb doing here? Not really something we want a fading node. Probably find a target for this or this though. I'd like it if you don't have another land. No, just a tap land, okay. At least he had something. Okay, we've only got the denial or the fading hope. I'm not going to fading hope this, so. See if we get a chance to denial something. Mardu. Interesting. That's like the one card we didn't want, basically. Interfere with our hand in a way we can't counter. That is pretty much the worst thing they could have. And what is this deck anyway? God knows. If he takes the Cultivator, I'm in trouble. Anything else is fine, honestly. So we're on 5. Yeah, need an untapped land on top of that, really. We could take 5 damage. I don't want to bounce either of those into the battlefield creatures. I'm still trying to work out what this deck is even doing. Just enter the battlefield creatures. That's literally all it is. Well, at least we can bounce the Skyclave. I'm not playing anything else for 4 or under. And block the Symbology. And then once we get Workshop War Chief down, we're in better place. If you want to power that land up and I'll bounce that, I'm happy to do that too. So, no land means we're basically dead, I think. Because this hive powered up goes through. So we're taking 8. If the opponent realises that, which I'm sure they will in a minute. I mean, we're tapped out, so it's a completely safe play. I mean, they literally just hovered over the hive. It's like they're getting there, just slowly. I mean, if you had that in your hand the whole time, honestly. Okay, next game. Mugabe. Hoping for a win here. Okay. Because we can play the Tamio on turn 4 if we need to, and we're on the play, it's just about keepable. Because we want a hand with lots of lands, because it's, you know, we can't miss land drops, but also we need some kind of ramp spell, don't we? My mouse is dying. Mouse, oh. Sorry about this, just try and fix the mouse. There we go. Okay. I have my mouse back. More land and wait for Jouari, I suppose. Don't have any ramp spells. Out of 10 in the deck. Nothing to Jouari, sadly. Could be worth besiegeing their Rockfall Vale though. As a tricolour deck, they might not have any mountains. We'll find out. I suppose they will have one or two basics at least, but maybe not of the right colours. Okay, they're running the gardens. So let's tap down this one.
You cannot delay our victory.
It's a shame it's an on-land, isn't it? Could have some fun there.
Flesh makes you weak.
We'll probably play this out so we can make sure we get the 7th land. Green. Keep the initiate tapped.
Such an imperfect form.
It's a close one. God, more of those. More of those is bad. Both at Tamio maybe? Yeah, we just let that through then. Although it's just a shitload of life gain for our opponent. But
A minor setback, but victory is inevitable.
start churning out the Titans now. Obviously they're probably running Brutal Cathars as a human's deck, which makes the shield counter slightly dubious. Probably could have been 5 life instead. Doubt they're actually running any Flat Destroy. The only thought possible would be Fateful Absence, and that's unlikely. I just did it because I thought the adversary can get up to 7 power, and it's nice to have a good block, but maybe that was a bad idea. Okay, maybe not a bad idea. I think I'd probably do the same again now, having seen the Sagada. we're not attacking. You can think about it all you want, you are not attacking in this spot. Be letting us kill off the 2 adversaries and the aspirant if you attack. I mean, please do, but they won't. No. I think we'll Arbiter on the Sagada rather than Titan here, because we can't be taking the damage from that. All discard the Celestus. No attacks. Obviously we can then mimic our Arbiter. Is actually probably better than Titan. We can keep all their creatures with low power, they struggle. Can't actually kill any of them, which is a slight problem at the moment. We need to draw a decisive denial. I think we're only running 2, aren't we? Yeah, only 5% chance of drawing a denial. Tarask would be nice as well. Will he attack with Sagada? That's the one potential attack, but no. Probably doesn't realise that I want to keep my Arbiter alive. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It's a good reach creature. So do we do a Titan? I mean, we could even do a Tree Folk, but I think Arbiter's still the better one, just because we get the draw as well. Really keep that Sagada low. It means I can attack with the other Arbiter as well. Okay, no I can't. Good to know. One more spell out of their hand. I think we're in a good place in terms of blocks at the moment, still. What we don't want to see is like a Halana and Alina, because it'll be massive. We'll have 5 power, be able to put 5 counters on any creature, which is pretty backbreaking for us. Every turn. Yeah, don't care about Redan really. That's not doing anything to us. Happily block the Sagada with the 2 reach creatures as well. Obviously it gives them a draw to a Cathar. Yeah, that's why they're doing it. So we're definitely blocking like this. They've probably got another Sagada in hand as well. Okay, all that way of keeping the Sagada alive also works. That's plus. Otawara is interesting actually. Otawara is very interesting. If we bounce the Sagada, that's a big deal for us. So we can equip this. It's 4. 1, 2, 3. No, we can't equip it. Oh no, we do have a legendary creature. When this is reconfigured, while this is attached, it isn't a creature. No, okay. So I can't equip it unless I bounce the garden now. Which I might actually do that. And of course we can then lower the power of 2 creatures as well, because we're discarding a card. That is a nice combination. And we'll stick this on what isn't going to get tightened, this. And then I can play out a land. Probably attack with both. Have we got a Jawara in the graveyard already? Yeah. It's just the land then. Completely shrinking their whole team. Got the denial we want. Entire team's got no power. Quite vicious that is. They've definitely not got good attacks now. Obviously they've got the Cathar to get rid of something of ours. Maybe they will use it on the Cultivator, I don't know. Definitely an interesting game. How powerful are these Arbiters though? They're so strong in this scenario. That's the thing about the Titans and the Arbiters, sometimes one's better than the other, but in this game, with no enchantments or artifacts to destroy, shield counters not being too important, I think the Arbiters are better. The fact that we can mimic one and denial to get to kill off the Cathar or Sigard or whatever we feel we need to do is pretty big for us. And obviously play creatures off the top if we need to. But I think we'll probably denial to kill this, because getting the Arbiter back means we can keep their team like this and we don't have to worry about any attacks. I don't blame the opponent for thinking a lot here, because there's lots of options for us. Now the option could be to denial on the Rodan, so we can actually do damage again, but I don't think it is. I think we'll denial onto this Arbiter, like this, onto the Cathar, sorry, get the Arbiter back. Unless they have an indestructible for the Cathar, which they do not. The thing about doing the Rodan is they could have another one in hand even. Definitely discard a land. Shrink these two. Could play Vivian out even here and get the Bookworm. I think we'll definitely create a Tree Folk, because I don't want to mill the Vivian. There's only one in our deck. So what have we got? 3. We don't want to play this because they're more search. Could play a Titan, or could copy an Arbiter, or could play the Vivian now. If we attack with the Arbiter, we'll draw. That's the way to go, I think. We will draw using this. I might attack with this one as well, although it only needs a 3 blocker. Yeah, we're not using it. Got plenty to replace it with. We'll throw the land, yeah, we can always get more of those off the top at the moment. a shame. 7, 8, 9. We've only got 8. Can't quite play this off the top. All the creatures get smaller a little bit. And then I think we'll put another Titan in for the reach. Probably game 5 and create a Rhino. But the creatures aren't looking that powerful right now. I want to get that Tarask down for the win. That's what I want. Oh, they don't know how bad that is for them. That is a big ray down in fairness, but let's go. Whatever. Not tons of good blocks for them there. That is the good block you have. Although if you have to block with the adversary, then that is also not a good block. I think they're realising it's GG. Got 2 Den-Dens on the ground to block. 10 in the air to block. Please just let the damage go through. Go down to like minus 30 or whatever it is. Ooh. Oh no. It's timed out. His brain's exploding. Brain's exploding or laptop's out the window. It's one of the two. Just let me have this sweet victory, Mogwai. Come on. Come on, buddy. There we go. And with that, I think I'll probably call it GG. Okay, finally just a quick look at the stats of the deck. So I have now played 22 games with this, and probably even more. I played some of it on mobile as well. It's a little bit of a mobile friendly deck. This deck is pretty much a bit of a banger. At the moment we're looking at 64% win rate, 82% on the play, which is not surprising. It's better on the play, you know, having that land advantage, you know, getting ahead of the lands is what we want. And yeah, apart from an awful showing against Orzhov, as you can see here, seem to be getting pretty much trashed against Orzhov. I don't know why we're running into that more than anything. When you look at the meta, it should be mostly Boros, which should perform well against, good against mono black. The reason we're struggling against white black is because it's got so much exile. Exile's really good against big creatures. You know, we play a 7 or 6 or more drop, and they just exile it with Vanishing Verse. So it's got Vanishing Verse, it's got Wandering Emperor. It's got Eaten Alive in some cases, or whatever, Rite of Oblivion. There's all sorts of exile spells, and that's why it's good against us. I think if we were playing a best of 3 meta and we're against Orzhov, we want to go up to 4 Decisive Denials to be able to counter those exiles. and maybe tweak some of the ramp targets we've got. I mean, Titan gets devalued heavily against Orzhov. But anyway, enough about that. We're overcoming all of the sort of low curve, the white decks, the Boros decks pretty easily. And yeah, it's been performing pretty well overall. I've had good fun playing with it. Going to keep tweaking it a little bit, playing it a little bit more, but please do, you know, if you have any suggestions on how to improve it, leave me a comment. I do always like to hear them, and if I get a good one, I'm more than happily sort of make a new version of the deck and re-release it. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching until the end, and if you like the video, please do like and subscribe, and until next time, bye for now.